Let's see if we can have a little fun this morning. Knock, knock. Weekend. We can do anything we want. Knock, knock. Spell. Oh, okay, fine. WHO. Knock, knock. Accordion. According to my resources, it's raining. Our theme this year is Be Your Authentic and True Self. And the book we are reading through March and April, which I already showed you, is the selection of your redefined moments, becoming who you were born to be, by Reverend Dr. Dennis Merritt Jones, who focuses on who we are truly within. And as we begin to look and focus on authenticity, what does authentic truly mean? Well, depending upon which dictionary you happen to consult, authentic means worthy of acceptance or belief as confirming to or based on facts. Or not false or an imitation. It means real or actual. Or my favorite is true to one's personality, spirit, or character. According to an article in Psychology Today by a Dr. Tikchiki Davis, she states being authentic means that you act in ways that show your true self and how you feel. Rather than showing people only a particular side of yourself, you express your whole self genuinely. That means to succeed in being authentic, you first have to know who your true self actually is. And this requires self awareness, mindfulness, and self acceptance. That can be pretty difficult in a world that is constantly telling us who we are, what we should be, what we should want, and what we have to believe, and just how we should express ourselves. Some of us tend to live on the surface rather than diving and going within. Why? Because it's easier to skim the surface and make the choice rather than making the choice to grow and become more centered in the divine. According to Reverend Dr. Jones, inherent in every living thing is an insatiable hunger, the innate desire to express life by freely and fully being what it was uniquely created to be. And just why is it so difficult to live an authentic life? I have to say, I think it is harder to find and explore our true self in today's age of technology. We are constantly bombarded by the media that tell us we are too fat or we don't exercise enough, or if we'll just take this pill, it will solve all of our physical problems, or the new fandangled thing to make us look or feel better. All of these influences chip away at our ability to be our authentic selves. By being someone we are not, we are telling ourselves that who we really are is not okay. So hiding or suppressing who we really are can leave us feeling lonely, disconnected from others, or even worthless. So basically, any authenticity we may have tends to get lost. And how do we compensate for the loss of an authentic life? We might find ourselves balancing our inner and outer aspects to better fit in and to become more successful or to find love or greater relationships. Maybe we're driven to find our true place in society. Most of us want to be respected for who we truly are and what we have to contribute in our own simple way. And yet we find that lacking. We strive for perfection and define sex by how much money we have in our bank account. We live in a society that values superficiality. Seldom do we hear anyone sharing or being an example of how to live our values every day, which is real authenticity. And so we find ourselves confused as to what is real authenticity and what isn't. So, just how can we be authentic regardless of the messages that constantly barrage us? As children, we are molded by our parents, our teachers, our peers, our religion, our society, and told to fit in. We may be rewarded for fitting in not by being different, even if different really was okay. Ultimately, we develop beliefs and thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that keep us acting in ways that we were taught, not in the ways that make us feel like our authentic self. As a child, I lingered in the tom girl stage a little too long for society and my parents' liking. Even though I felt more comfortable with fewer curls, less skirts, and makeup, it was not the acceptable role for a young woman in society's standards of the 50s and 60s. An example of a group within our society today that are being forced to become square pegs in round hole is the LGBTQ community in many parts of our nation for trying to be their authentic selves. They have been forced to adapt and hide their sexuality in order to fit in, get along, and be what society expects them to be. I am sure that each of you here today can think of a time in your life that you were forced to sacrifice your authentic self in order to fit in and survive. Maybe it was in a relationship with someone or doing a job you really didn't care for, or maybe you discovered that most of your friends did not believe as you did politically. Or maybe you were being asked to do something unethical that was against your values and your morals. We only need look back at our teenage years to remember the pressure to fit in with our peers that may have squelched who we really were, our authentic selves. For many of us, our authentic self remains buried deep in our unconscious. So, why does it matter that we live in an authentic life? Why is it so important to delve within our unconsciousness to explore our very being? The Mundaka Upanishad said, as rivers flow into the ocean, find their final peace, and their name and form disappears, the wise become free from name and form and enter into the radiance of Supreme Spirit, who is greater than all greatness. In truth, who knows God becomes God. When we live our authentic life, we are freer, more liberated than ever before, and we know we are one with the divine. We accept ourselves when we reconnect with who we are and know we are safe in our oneness. With ease and grace, we practice our values every day and know we do not have to justify them or who we are. Whenever we are in a place or a position that does not allow us to practice our values, we release the situation without guilt or torment. We find ourselves responding to all situations with love. A close friend of mine and a fellow minister, Reverend Dr. Penny Masick, recently taught me a new affirmation. I am the place and space in which the love and light of the divine is so fully expressed that it transforms everything. Say it with me. I am the space and place in which the love and light of the divine is so fully expressed that it transforms everything. Everything is transformed to our oneness with the divine and love. Everything is transformed when we are authentic. Our spiritual practice becomes deeper and and richer. And when we are in that divine place and space, we are truly being our authentic selves. I will always be grateful that my dad taught me how to fish when I was just a child. It has been a lifetime hobby that has served me well and has given me great joy through the years. A few years back, I had the experience of catching a salmon on the Sacramento River. The thrill with struggling with that big monster for about 35 or 40 minutes before we got it into the boat was adrenaline shocking. The picture of me holding the 35-pounder became my Christmas card that year. Many times in the fall, I've gone to Oroville to see the salmon struggle to return to their place of birth. It amazes me to watch. Salmons are great teachers of transformation. Think about it. A salmon is born in fresh water, and then it has to adapt and transform and become a saltwater fish. And then, not too long after, it has to transform back to fresh water to reproduce and die. Depending on the species of salmon, they can spend 6 months to 2 years in the fresh water initially, and then after 18 to 8 years in the ocean, they return to the place of their birth to bring new life into existence and then die. It's 3 transformations in a short period of time. We are much like the salmon that goes through life changing through our transformations. Mark Nepo puts it, we are all our inborn call to know the deep. At each turn we meet experience, drift and steer, and are lifted and worn by it all till the very remains between our heart and the world. This process can strengthen us or deliberate us depending on whether our understanding of life is deepened along the way. As I researched today's lesson, I found article after article about you were being authentic if you accepted yourself, supported your self esteem, expressed who you were honestly. The article stated you got to be happy, and then you were being authentic if you were happy. It included being open minded, and the list varied and was endless. One even stated 20 things that were required. Very few of the lists, however, stated that being centered in the divine is the most important part of being authentic. The great Native American elder Black Elk speaks to the power of our oneness and our authenticity. Peace comes within the souls of being when they realize their relationship, their oneness with the universe and all its power, and when they realize that at the center of the universe dwells the Great Spirit, and this center is really everywhere. It is within each of us. Dr. Ernest Holmes, our founder, stated when we are on our journey of awakening to transformation, to look to Luke 17:21, which states, "The kingdom of God is within you." To me, our journey of awakening to the divine within is all about our journey to authenticity. So, just how do we arrive at authenticity? The first thing we must do is to admit who we are. The Catholics are the only religion that I know where an individual confesses their wrongdoing to another. Now, the word confess means to admit, and admit has two additional meanings: to say what is and to let it in. So when we declare things that are, then we are letting the truth in within ourselves. As Nepo puts it, it is the power of both meaning that brings our soul alive. And part of the process of confessing is that admitting who we are and then letting it in and admitting to ourselves all of our gifts and our limitations. We must truly come to that place of self understanding and knowledge to be authentic. Next, we must take stock of our values and our morals. Are they congruent with our actions and our lifestyle? If you're in a job or relationship that does not support your happiness and joy, then you are not living your values. Or, for an example, if you deeply believe that no child should go hungry and yet are not willing to financially support a program that will make that happen, or to at least volunteer, then you're not truly living your values. Authentic people know their values and support them financially and or through volunteering. Authentic people are committed to personal growth. When we stop learning, it is as if we have turned the lights off and are living in darkness. Learning means understanding our limitations and yet being open to try something new, to break through our self created limitations. Think of personal growth as your positive mental, physical, and spiritual transformation. It is through our self growth that we're able to show up in the world as the most extraordinary version of ourselves. According to Maslow's hierarchy of need, self actualization, aka personal growth, leads to the highest form of human fulfillment, which, of course, is authenticity. Next, be present in the moment. This is not an easy one. Our mind has the tendency to wander. If someone is talking at length, it is easy to drift into our shopping lists that we need to do on the way home or tomorrow's to-do list. When we stay present in the moment, we not only discover information about others, but we discover information about ourselves as well. People who stay in the moment tend to be happier, more calm, more relaxed, and they appreciate others. When we are in the moment, we are in mindfulness. This can also increase our ability to be in tune with our thoughts, our emotions, and our body sensations. When we're in alignment with all three of those, we are better able to communicate how we are thinking and feeling to both ourselves and others. All change begins from within. All meaning and lasting change starts on the inside and works its way outward. Lasting change must begin within first. It is easy to find what is wrong with our world, but far more difficult to do the self examination that lets us know how we are challenged and what we need to change. When you feel frustrated or angry or any other disempowering state, become curious and work on that part of yourself that is at war with your reality. When we are able to discover the why of what really irritates us, then true change and transformation will occur. It also means we have to be honest and truthful with ourselves. With time, I have come to understand to be transformed means to live with greater clarity and consistency. And that transpires when I return to my place of oneness. Christian Larson in The Pathway of Roses wrote, "To realize that we are one with God in spirit and in truth is to realize that we are also one with the life, the divinity, the perfection of God, and therefore we are as God is. What is in God is in us. We live the same life that He lives." When we embrace our oneness with God, we truly live an authentic life. It is impossible to not be connected to God and to each other. When we forget our connection, our oneness, we turn our thoughts away from spirit. Losing sight of oneness is losing sight of our own authenticity. When we do that, We lose our awareness of the natural states of love, peace, joy, health, and abundance. And when we lose our connection, we lose that still small voice within that spirit calling us. Our oneness enables us to hear what is not being said. Our oneness reaches within and tugs at our souls, nudging us to grow, to see the unseen. The Cherokee have a story that provides a simple yet profound understanding of awareness, protection, and oneness with the others and the Great Spirit, all of which are part of authenticity. When the plants and trees were first made, Great Spirit gave a gift to each species. But first he set up a contest to determine which would be the most useful to whom. I want you to stay awake and keep watch over the earth for 7 nights, he told them. The young trees and plants were so excited to be entrusted with such an important job that the first night they didn't have any difficulty whatsoever staying awake. The second night was not quite so easy. Just before dawn, a few fell asleep. On the third night, the trees and the plants whispered among themselves in the wind, trying to keep from dropping off. It was too much work, however, and more of them fell asleep. Even more fell asleep on the fourth night, and by the time the seventh night came, the only trees and plants still awake were the cedar, the pine, the spruce, the fir, the holly, and the laurel. What wonderful endurance you have, exclaimed the Great Spirit. You shall be given the gift of remaining green forever. You will be the guardians of the forest. Even in the seeming dead of winter, your brothers and sister creatures will find life protected in your branches. Ever since then, all the other trees and plants lose their leaves and sleep all winter, while the evergreen stay awake. The great question for all of us is, will we stay awake like the evergreen, to listen and to grow? Will we stay awake to our oneness within? Will we become aware of our greatness within and our own authenticity? Or will we continue to fall asleep? This is the truth in my life, and this is the truth in yours. And so it is.